Welcome back to Sheet Metal is Fun. Today's lesson is perforated metal with a purpose. Today's purpose is airflow and ventilation. Come on inside, let's take a look. All right, today's lesson, well, first of all, welcome back to Sheet Metal is Fun. Today's lesson is on perforated metal, but the purpose of perforated metal today is airflow. Sometimes we'll do sifting with this, sorting. We can do several things with perforated metal, but today what we're going to do is I've made this mock-up so you can have a better idea of what our new project is. And our new project is this. Somebody else is gonna put new gutter on this building. This building is from, I think it's from the 40s, but somewhere between the 40s, 1940s and the 50s. So they're gonna put on new gutter because the old gutter is rusty and corroded and falling apart. That didn't fall apart. That's a section that I cut out with my snips so I could see what was going on behind the gutter. So some folks are going to add new gutter, and we are going to add perforated metal for airflow so that the air can flow in through the attic and out through the rotary ventilators that are installed in the roof. This is the corner of the building. So everywhere you see this, we're going to add the new trim that we're going to show you here in just a second, just a minute. This is a close-up. I'm not sure. Can you really tell much from there, baby? So this is just a close-up of this section that I cut out with my snips. And really what I'm showing you here is this is the opening where the ventilation is going to take place. Right now they have a gutter, and they've added several types of wood trim just to give it an architectural effect. But that closed it in, and now all the wood is rotten. They're going to go ahead and take that off, and we're going to come up with something new that will hopefully go along well with the architecture of the building and provide airflow into the attic as well. So we got that. Now you've seen the explanation of what we're making. Typical sheet metal is fun job. So the next thing I do is I make a shop drawing. And so this is just a typical shop drawing. I go out in the field and I look and I sit around here and I come up with ideas of what I want to do. So if I can, wouldn't that be funny if this erases all my notes? All right, the joke would be on me, and that would be fine. Start with, hey, there's a big stripe missing across. So this building is the district office. It's from the 40s or the 50s. But like I said, this is a shop drawing. This is when I look at the project and I decide and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, I make up a drawing like this. So you can see here's the roof. Here's the new gutter. This is called an OG gutter. And that is spelled one broken pencil. I just sharpened it too. O-G-E-E. OG. And that word OG just means two reverse radiuses, arcs. So you see that S little turn right there. This is called OG gutter. Okay, now yeah, we can leave that in. I was going to take it out for clarity, but I don't think it's clouding up. So we have the gutter, and I went by the gutter installer, and they gave me a section of OG gutter. Can you get a cross sample of what that looks like, baby? First, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to put an end cap. This is a right end cap, and it's actually stamped in there right. But here's that reverse arc, that reverse radius that we were talking about. Is that better? Mm-hmm. Look, I looked over your shoulder and saw the glare. So let's start with, we're going to install the right end cap. I didn't get a left, but I got a right. In our OG gutter. we're going to tap this on here. Oh, let me show you. They make these end caps, and it has an upturned flange, but then also a corresponding downturned flange. The nice thing about this is it just, if you cut this off with your snips, then this just slides on the end of the gutter with a little love. Let me get it down here. I see you on your tiptoes. So I just slid it on. And now we're going to use a snap lock punch. I've called it a button punch, and but I think the right name is a snap lock punch. And you can buy these at any of the big box stores. So what this does, the way they make this end cap, you could put a rivet in here, and one in here, and one in there, and that'll hold the end cap in place. And then we're going to go to the inside, and we're going to seal it with polyurethane. So the nice thing about that is the inside is clean, and the fastener is not actually inside the gutter. The fastener is outside the gutter. But I'm going to show you the snap lock punch that when you become a highly skilled, highly paid professional, right here, like me, we're going to use a snap lock. And what this does is that I'm going to put it in here. Did you hear that? When it makes that sound. Ooh. Do you think there's any way we're going to be able to show what's happening there? Mm-hmm. Let's show it from this side. And then let's do one here. I'm going to do it right here. And then let's do one on the bottom. So that puts...
like a dimple?
Yeah, it puts like a dimple. I don't know, maybe... Let's see if you can see... Can you see what's happening here? I want you to get, yeah, really close. Okay, I'm going to look over your shoulder. And you see this little dimple right here? It's going to go in there, and it's going to put an offset dimple in there, or what they call a snap lock. So what that does is it holds the end cap on. It can't come off. So then what we would do, we would take the only sealant that we recommend, polyurethane, and then we would seal this off. And then you got to put your finger in it. If you don't put your finger in it, you're not trying hard enough. So then I just wanted to show you that's how an end cap goes on. And this is OG gutter, but you can also get box gutter, which is just straight, or you can get fascia gutter, which is for some houses that don't have fascia. So what I'm going to do is we've got our, I think we're done with our snap lock pliers. Let me put that away. Since we got so much stuff out here already. So what I'm doing is, this is my shop drawing of what I want to propose to the folks over at the district office. And rather than show them a shop drawing, I decided what we would do is make up a mock-up of this shop drawing. So that's what this is. So I've taken some OSB, that's this type of plywood, that's oriented strand board. So they take the chips and they orient the strands so that they're not all going the same way. That's why you see there'll be strands going this way, then this way, and the oriented strand board. So it's the new thing. They can make it out of smaller chips instead of the old stuff, CDX plywood. So I've made a model, so when folks have a hard time visualizing what we're proposing, I want to make this. And then when I was making this, Stacy thought, it's weird to call you Stacy, hon. You guys call her Stacy, I'll call her baby doll, hun, or hun, or pumpkin. Pumpkin, sweetheart. This is the time of year for pumpkin. All right, so what I wanted to show you guys is some of the different materials, and I also wanted you to look over my shoulder while we make this mock-up. So I went to the gutter, the folks that are going to install the gutter, and they gave me a piece of the gutter. I made this. I got sawdust. I had sawdust everywhere. I had it in my ears. That's the nice thing about sheet metal is you don't get sawdust in your ear. So this gutter is going to go in here. This is called a wing. They put a short wing on it for remodels because the roof is already on. On some of these, when we make the gutter, we'll put a 3 or a 4-inch wing on it. But this is a short wing because it goes in an application where the roof is already on. So, let's see, what are the chances that we could install this gutter? Okay. So imagine I'm doing this with a 10-foot stick of gutter up on a ladder. Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right. Now we've just gone 15 feet up in the air and installed our gutter. I still got a little gap right there. This bit I have on here, look at this bit. This is for doing drywall screws. This actually stops the screw at a certain level of countersink. So it's not exactly the right one, but I still think I should be able to push hard enough to do that. We're going to turn the building on its side, which we don't recommend. Yeah.
I feel like that's just making more work for yourself.
I know, and that because just think, everything that was on the dinner table is going to slide off. Wow, could you imagine if people came home while you had their house laying on the side, and they got there before you were done? What in the world? I'm going to explain this in a second. Oh, you know what? Yeah, in a second. We'll swing back around. So we got our gutter in. New gutter, OG style. Here's the gutter. Here's the roof. And then this had an 1.5-inch offset. And then the front of the building has stucco on it. So I've made this piece of L metal, which we are going to make one here in just a second. In just a minute. Here's that Z that we're going to put on here. And let's go ahead and do that. So this is going to go in. I'm actually going to make this very difficult. We're going to come here at about 1.25 inches. And I'm going to be very careful to make one continuous bead. In other words, not, no, yes, one continuous bead. Because what's going to happen is some of the water will always run down the front of the gutter. And what we don't want the water is to go back in between our two pieces. So it's one continuous bead. That way we have no place for the water to go back and get into places that we don't want it to go. See this upturned half right here? Can you see that? I only put that on there so that I will always have a continuously predictable position of this front flange. Because if I didn't have that, then I would have to measure this. So it was just better if we put it on. Oh, don't move. Not moving. Oh, I got that thing tight, didn't I? Didn't I get that good and tight? I'm going to start at this end, hon. All right, I'm going to start at this end because there's no end cap. So I'm going to take this 1/2 inch and it's going to go up between the building and the gutter. And again, that 1/2 inch is just there so that I get this same reveal along the whole way. And what I put that screw in there so good. Yeah. Now, for fun, hold it in place. Hold it in place. That's just for the demonstration. But because if this gutter that they put on, I'm not going to be able to put clamps on the end, but these are just to hold it in place. So you'll notice I did the bead of caulking 1.25 inches, roughly 1.25 inches, because I'm going to have some squish. And I don't want, by the time we put this in, that bead of caulking is going to be out here. It's only about 1/2 inch back. And so as much as I may not want to, in order to hold that piece in place out in the field, I've had this pop riveter over 40 years. It's made by the United Shoe Machinery Corporation, and legend has it they're the ones that invented the pop rivet. It was for the shoelace eyelets. And I only say that because every time I get up my pop river, somebody says, hey, that's cool. Where'd you get that? I don't think they make them anymore, but United Shoe Machinery. So, we have a bead of caulking in here, and I'm going to put one rivet in this, and I actually want to put the rivet right through that bead of caulking, and that's going to help us make sure we seal it up. So, what I'm going to do So I drilled right through the bead of caulking. And then I'm going to put this rivet in here. Right? See, can you see that rivet in there? So that's holding our Z-bar in. We're going to call this a Z-bar because it goes down, out, and down like a Z. And then, since we just drilled a hole in this other person's awesome gutter, we're going to put a little polyurethane volcano. No, not a volcano. A volcano has a hole in it. We're going to put a little frosty cone. Volcano has a hole. We don't want that. So we put the rivet in to hold it. And I've noticed that the big blue wire nut makes a good stopper for the polyurethane. Don't use anything else. If you get tempted to use silicone, or you get tempted to, that's our first project, lesson number 1, our pan. So, we've installed the gutter, we've installed our upper Z-bar, and on our Z-bar, I actually used a pre-painted metal. So not only are we going to talk about perforated today, oh, it's another P word. Prepainted. Prepainted. Put them up. Put them up. I ain't afraid of no sheet metal. We're going to use pre-painted metal. So what I did is I went over to the rack and I grabbed you guys a little sample. At the factory, they put a PVC coating on it, something we can peel off. But look at that. We can get this in this green. It's probably available in about probably a dozen colors. There's green. This is the real color. It just looks this color because the blue PVC vinyl on it, PVC wrap. This one, brown on one side. How's that glare?
It's good. It's good.
You can see it brown. And this one.
Yeah, that's good.
There, that's good. Black. And so this comes in handy if you're making something and you thought after you get all the way done you want to paint it black. Hey, how about starting with black metal in the first place? Black metal, green metal, beige metal or desert tan. All the three of these pieces are 24 gauge, which is around 25 thousandths. So I just wanted you to see that we can buy metal that's already painted, and I think it's called a Kynar, Kynar, proprietary coating, but it's what we make metal roofs when we do metal roofing. So it has all the UV inhibitors and it has all the anti-chalking compounds. So it's made to last a long time. So what I've done is out of that desert tan, I wanted to just show you guys, here's the Z. We're going to make the Z. There's the half that goes up under the back of the gutter. This is underneath the gutter. That's 3 3/4. 3 3/4 because the bottom of the gutter is 4. And look, I wanted just a little bit of a reveal. Can you see that? I didn't want those two things to be the same. And look how nice, how predictable this reveal is because that 1/2 inch flange up in the back. That way we can just put this on and we're not trying to measure this so that when, because most people, this gutter is around 18 feet in the air. So everybody else's view will be like that. You're going to be looking at it from this angle. So I want to show you on our pre-painted metal. We're going to make this L metal and we're going to make this Z. One of the things we've talked about before is every chance we get to use a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch is this bending leaf. This is a 1/2 inch across the bending leaf. We're going to use that to our advantage, and that's one less thing that we don't have to mark it, and then we also don't have to hit that mark. So you'll notice here, this L metal has a 1/2 inch hem in the front. I turned a 1/2 inch hem, and it's marked.
Turn the building toward, closer.
I'm going to turn the building toward you. Can you see it in there?
Mm-hmm.
I might have got some paint on it when I was painting it black. I smashed it pretty good there. Let's see if the other side, no.
I got it.
We'll see it.
Well, we'll see it when you make it anyway.
So what I've done is, I've talked about this before, X is always you, you're X. So you can see this bend comes up toward X. This hem also comes up toward X, but you'll notice I don't have a mark on here because we made it half, because even JB, Junior Bender, JB has a 1/2 inch bending leaf, just like, what do we call the big one? Big Bob. I like Big Bob. We have an Uncle Bob. And so I don't have it marked, which is the beauty of the 1/2 inch. So we're going to make this piece of L metal on the bottom. Let's do it. Come on over here to JB. We're going to open up JB with the open up JB handle right here. We're going to feed in our material. And I'm just going to hold it flush in the front. Look at that, flush in the front. Close the handle. Now it's flush in the front, and we know that's a 1/2 inch. We're going to put a hem on it. First step in the hem is 135 degrees. That's just because it's 90 plus an additional 45. It's not because I'm good at math. I'm going to have to just work my way across.
Yeah, it's a little.
Can you see that all right?
Yeah. It's heavier gauge, huh?
Yeah, it's a little heavier. And, you know, we've got JB mounted on a rolling cart here, so you can't really get after it. So what I'm going to do now is close it. Look at that. If you just heard that cat, that's Elsa the shop cat. So there's our hem. I'm going to hold still where you get a picture of that. Yep. And now we're going to go to our mark. And I'm going to put that mark right on. You can't help it. That's Stacy's end down there. That's where she always is. All right. I'm going to bend this up 90. When this is flat like a table, that means our piece is 90 degrees. I'll usually go a little past 90 because all of this metal has a memory. And so if you want a perfect 90, you got to go past 90 and then let it spring back. So we're just going to get a look at it. Can you see that? And so what I would do next is now that we've done the fabricating, we would come over here and we would peel off the protective coating. But we only made this so you guys could see what we're doing, and you can still see the protective coating on there. So that's our bottom. That's what's happening right there. And going back to that X, it's really, really important here because we have a finish side and we have a back side. If this was just a sheet of gal, both sides are the same. But painted metal, stainless, and some of the aluminum that we use, it's very critical to get this X in here so that you know I'm going to bend it up toward the white side, which is the unfinished side, right? So it's important that we have this X. We've had some folks ask us, what's the deal about X? Why do we need it? Why is it important? The reason it's important is it's a good habit to get into. And we can see this is up toward X. That's a hem up toward X. But look at this half. Look at it's going away from X. That's what's going to make it a Z. But in this case, we have an unfinished side and a finished side, so that X is very critical. Our number one step anytime we're fabricating, the first thing you do is whatever causes the least amount of change in your material. So the least amount of change in this is the hem, right? Because all we're doing is we're just going to fold over a 1/2 inch hem. We're going to go flush in the front. We're going to bend it over. We're going to sneak across there because it's mounted on a rolling cart. Big Bob is bolted to the floor. Oh, and the reason I'm doing this at an angle is so that we can affect a smaller space. That takes less pressure to affect a smaller space. If I held it in perfectly like this, now I'm trying to flatten this entire hem all at one time. So you'll notice I go at an angle and we're just trying to affect a smaller area. Now let's flip it over. Do what we call a half bite. Right, so I've moved this end off the bending leaf a little bit, and we're just going to give that a nice flatten. Then we're going to pull, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to flip it over. We're going to do our other half. We went with half again, so we don't have to mark it. Number one, that saves us time marking, and also I'm not trying to look and see the line. I'm just going to make it flush in the front. There's our 1/2 inch 90. So now I did the first thing was what affected our piece in the least amount. Then I went to the next one. This is the next one in line. This affected it next. And now we're going to finish up with the one that affects the most. Let me go. I want to go over that again because it's really important. If I bent this one first, this is the one, we only have 3 bends here. This bend affects the shape of our piece most profoundly in the biggest way. And so if we bent that one first, then it would make this one very difficult. So we always start off with the smallest effect, then we went to the next smallest effect, and then we're going to finish off with the bend that affects our piece the greatest. You got that in, baby? Yep. You know, the thing about JB is JB doesn't just start at one end. JB comes down all the way at once. On Big Bob, on Stacy's end, she'll close first, hitting her mark, and then I'll be down here 10 feet away, and I can move the piece in and out to make sure that we're on the mark. But this, so it closes one end first, your choice. It could close the right first or left first. This JB closes all at one time. So I'm going to hold this and then let you find the best angle. You got it? So you can see our 1/2 inch hem, our 1.5 inches in the front, our 3 3/4, and then our half. So all I've done here is just shown you, I had these other pieces bent up before you guys got here. This is just that piece right there. The 1/2 inch went up behind the back of our gutter, and that made sure we always had a continuous reveal across here. Then I measured down 9 inches from here to here. I think it was 9. Yep, 9. And then I installed the L metal. Bam, bam. I put a screw here, and I put a screw there. And I just painted this black because the next part I want you guys to see is this is what it looks like in the field. There's a space right here in the building. This would be red brick in the building. And so there's a little space, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide ventilation. So we want the air to be able to move through here, through this space, evacuate the attic, and on out through the rotary vents in the top. Or you can call them a whirly bird, and you're not wrong. So I want to show you guys. So let's go back to the drawing. This is our shop drawing. There's our Z installed at the bottom of the gutter. Here's our L metal. That's installed. And then here's the perforated panel. So what I've done on the perforated panel is I've taken 2 pieces of the same sheet, and I painted one black and I painted one white, just because I want you guys to see the different ways that dark paint on perforated, and then I want you to see light paint on perforated. Now, with this gap, this is the ventilation. This is the reason we're even doing this. Is that's going to be our finished look right there. But see how you guys can see through that? See how you can see this space back here? I think that's gonna distract us from what I'm trying to show you. So here's the backside of and the backside of the model house. Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. That's a good save. I left the driver right over here next to my heart. And then when we laid the house over, I lost the screws. So don't go away. Let me see. Yeah, you guys just get comfortable, have a seat. Haha, found one.
Oh, well, we were just taking,
Were you just getting comfortable?
we were just taking a shop tour.
All right. Oh, yeah. Finish your tour. I'm going to put in a number 8 driver. Now I'm just going to screw a piece of metal that I've painted black just to help with the visual aid of this whole process. Now, this piece is not critical. It's just here. Hey, hold the building for me, huh? I feel like I'm tipping the building over. Yeah.
Godzilla.
Me tip building, big time. Good, look at that. Okay.
I'm glad I could help.
I got the power. I got the power to tip buildings. As long as they're small and bench top. All right.
Yeah, but this piece is not going in there at the front.
This piece isn't going on the building. That's a good call. So all this is, yes, I wanted to show, yes, you guys, and I want to show the customer, because now when you look through, you have a better idea of what's happening. So again, this is a piece of perforated that I painted black. This is the same material in a light color, but I just wanted you guys to see the different effect that you get with light colored paint. Again, I'm just going to tip the building over. This is the stucco on the front of the building. There's our L metal. So this is perforated with light color paint on it. Same perforated with dark paint. So I've only tipped it up because that's pretty much, how's that look? You like it?
Uh-huh.
I like it too. So now we can have airflow through here and through this space that we've temporarily blocked. And also the reason that we're down this far is what they did is they put the old wood trim on and then they stuccoed up to the wood trim. And so that stucco line is very irregular and unpredictable. So we've gone down below that. That's the reason this is so long, because the stucco line out on the job site is, we've covered it by about an inch. And so that's going to give us a nice, predictable line at the bottom of our architectural feature. That's going to give us a nice line. So if any water does come in here, if any water does collect in here, the deepest it can get is to that first row of holes, and then it will be forced to run back out. We just don't want any water getting back into the building. And so, oh, you know what? This is just for you guys. I originally was going to offer it to the customer, but then after I made it, I decided not to. So instead of just having this flat perforated, I also came up with this little nugget, and this just added another dimension to the face. You guys can make a comment, tell me what you think about it, but this is flat, and this just added one more dimension. Boy, that's a good looking picture right there, isn't it, huh? So what I will do in the field is after we install the perforated, this will have a pop rivet probably every 5 feet, because we're going to make these in 10-foot sections, and every 5 foot we'll put a pop rivet in there, and we'll put a pop rivet in there. So this was something I came up with just as an alternate profile, but then I decided that's going to make it, that's going to give too many choices. But don't you guys think that's great? I mean, look at, that's the same material in black and in white. So now the air can flow through the perf. So we're adding airflow, and we're also covering up that irregular line where the stucco came up. They put the wood trim on, and then they stuccoed up to the wood trim. So now when they take the wood trim off, that'll be an irregular line, but this L metal is going to make it nice and straight. So the next thing I want to do, now that we're at this point, is show you, because we talked about perforated metal with a purpose. Rivet gun. So we're gonna, is Elsa trying to get in our video? Mm-hmm. She goes, "Look at me, Mama. I'm going nationwide. Are you a nationwide kitty? Is that what it is? Is that what's going on?" So now that we've shown you what we're doing, we've shown you our visual aid, I want to show you that if you guys ever decide to use perforated, Stacy downloaded these for us, not to scale. We need to know the size of the hole, and this is a handy number, 36% open, and it's staggered. See, these holes are not. There's 1, 2, and then the next one is halfway between the two. That's called staggered. You know what I'll do is I'll show you. They're straight. All the holes are in a line. Staggered, straight. You guys tell me what this one is. It's staggered. Staggered. Oh, you know what? That's a good side by side. Staggered and straight. So what I want to do is show you, when you guys get ready to use perforated on your next project, there's 6 things that we want to know. And the more you know about this, whenever you go to order it, the people at the order facility, they're going to be impressed whenever you know the answers to their questions. So, number 1, we need to know the material. This is the same material as this, and this is cold rolled steel. And if you went to one of our early lessons was sawing versus shearing, and we talked about punching and perforating. And so the number 1 thing is your material, because it could be steel like this, it could be stainless like this, or it could be aluminum, but I didn't have any aluminum perf handy. But this is stainless. That's the reason that these pieces are wired on there, because look, you can't tell the look of stainless from the look of cold roll. They look the same. And most of this, well, no, I'm not even going to say most. Very often, stainless perf is made of 430 grade stainless, and it's magnetic. So you can't just put a magnet on it and go, oh, a magnet sticks to it, so it's not stainless. So this would be 430 grade stainless, so you can actually stick a magnet to it. We do restaurants sometimes. We'll put stainless steel on the wall, and so they can put notes on it, and they can actually stick magnets to 430 grade stainless. So that's what this is. So that's the reason I keep it marked. and even the small pieces, they're pretty proud of their stainless perf. So we save everything down to the smallest piece. So perforated, we want to know the material. We have steel, we have stainless, or it could be aluminum. The next thing that you're going to want to know when you purchase perforated is the thickness of the material. Let's look at this one right here. Look at this, not to scale, because this description is for this material, but we've blown it up for clarity and texture. So this piece that I'm holding is 16 gauge. It's a 3/16 hole because we got to know the size of the hole. We got to know the material. It's steel. The holes are 3/16 in diameter and they're 1/4 of an inch on center. So if you measure from the center of this hole to the center of that hole, it's 1/4 inch. The pattern is staggered. And then one thing that I always think is interesting is they will show you the amount of that's open. In other words, if this was a solid piece of metal, it'd be 0 open, right? There's no openings in solid metal. But in 3/16 hole, 1/4 inch on center, staggered is 51% open. So sometimes that's useful if you want to know how much air can you move through a piece of metal. You can move none through solid metal, but if you put 3/16 holes at 1/4 inch on center and you stagger them, you can get 51% air through that material. So what I want to do, let's make sure I didn't miss anything. So perforated, we want to know the material. It could be stainless, it can be steel or aluminum. Then we want to know the thickness. That's the gauge. This is 16 gauge. We got to know the hole size. This is a 3/16 hole. We got to know the pattern. It could be either staggered or straight. This is staggered. Staggered. Straight. I hope that's not an optical illusion. Wouldn't that be weird? Ooh, yeah. And let's see. Percent of open. This piece is 51% open. Oh, you can see it on this designation right here. Look at on some of these. This one's only 20% open because the holes are so far apart and they're small. 23% open. 36% open. It's a bigger hole. And they're a little... So this gives you, look at that. We have 23% open, because sometimes that's valuable to know. Well, almost always that's valuable to know. 36% open. There's Elsa. Whoa, what happened to her tail? Are you all right, kitty? You got no tail. Yeah, you're a good kitty. 20% open, 51% open. So, I think that pretty much covers it. If you guys have any questions, you can always come back, hit the pause button, and come back. So percent of open, that's useful. And then center to center spacing. When you're ordering it, they're going to want to know that. And you can see right here, this is 3/16 hole, 1/4 inches on center, staggered. I think we got it, baby. What do you think?
Yeah.
Elsa, what do you think? It just started raining. I don't know if you guys can hear the sound of the rain on our metal roof. But let's see. We talked about polyurethane. We talked about the mock-up, dark versus light, and what a difference that makes. You got any questions, hon? I don't have any questions. Elsa, questions? No. No questions on this end. If you guys have questions, give us a shout. And there's somebody on a motorcycle enjoying the wet roads out here. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us at Sheet Metal is Fun. Oh, we didn't do any fabulous fabricators, huh?
Oh.
Oh man, we've got some fabulous fabricators. All right, we're sorry. We're gonna get you guys on the next one. We were we were.
It's been a busy week.
It's been a busy week.
We just got back.
We just got back. We drove this car 1,200 miles each way to a racetrack 1,200 miles away, and we raced it. We drove it there. We raced. We went out in the third round, which is very good for a car that we drove to the racetrack and then raced a drag strip. And we had a great time. Lots of interesting food. Lots of great folks. We were in Northern California. The racetrack was in Tucson, Arizona, pretty close to the Mexico border, about an hour from the border. So we saw a lot of desert, and we had a great time. And Stacy's a rock star for driving in this car. No heat, no air conditioning, no nothing. No nothing.
Fun.
Just fun.
Just fun.
Oh, and we cruised the strip in Vegas. That was fun. And we saw the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. That was awesome. So if you guys make something from our lessons, send us a picture, and we would love to put you in our Fabulous Fabricators book. Send that to sheetmetalsfun@yahoo.com. That's it. We got another one in the bag. We appreciate you guys stopping by and taking all this time. This is a labor of love for us. We're glad to do it. I'm happy to share what I know with anybody who's willing to listen and learn. Thank you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Sheet metal is fun.